Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast, a part of the Podcast Playground Network. Please give us that 5-star review. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you do your podcasting. And of course, follow us on Facebook, BJ and Bill, the podcast. And of course, always you can email us, BJ and Bill, the podcast at gmail.com. Hello, everybody. This is episode 112.
112. And you're sounding so spunky today because you're in a different studio down there at your son's place in Fort Myers. I know you're trying to show off. I know you are. It's okay.
Well, no one can see us, so I don't have to really show off too much. But, man, you know, we worked in radio many, many years. We have nowhere near the toys that they have in the Shack Boo Studios. Let's just say that there are more toys here than I think any radio station in the country.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, it's only been 20 years since you and I have been in a radio studio. Well, less for you, but for me, closer to 25. So yeah, I'm sure there's toys there that I couldn't even recognize or know how to use. So yeah, good.
Well, of course, you know, we do our podcast audio wise because we're audio people because, you know, we grew up in the radio world when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now this younger generation, there's cameras everywhere around me. There's because they do a podcast with 4 different people.
Right.
So there's 4 different sets, you know, like television sets.
Sure.
Where people will set, and then there's different things that are behind them.
Yes.
It's wild.
Yours, the view, I know people can't see you, but yes, you absolutely look like you're in a radio studio with a fancy boom microphone and the control panel behind you and the little waffle stuff on the wall to absorb the sound and the album covers stuck to the wall behind you there. It just looks like a rock and roll radio station. It really does.
Now, if you go over the hump where you can't see that side of the studio, that's where all the little, I guess you could call them little studios are, where, you know, the individuals that do the podcast sit, and it looks like, you know, they could be at 4 different locations.
Right.
They're actually all kind of in a living room setting, all kind of setting around. And then of course, you know, this is the master control. So I'm not even on set.
Oh, wow. Well, I told you, as I've started to surf around the internet, around the interwebs, I'm seeing ads now for various podcast playground shows, like the Vinyl Boys and some of the other ones. I'm actually seeing advertising for that. So I admit, hand on my heart, I haven't watched any of those podcasts. I'm going to have to tune in and see what they look like, because that's pretty awesome that we're in a company that cool. Because we're not cool.
And to think, good thing that my son runs it, so we get an opportunity to do our little podcast on the big podcast network.
That's all we ask. It's okay. It's, it's all good. We're happy to be a part of the team here, even though we're like the water boy, we're like the kid with the towel that comes out on the floor during the NBA game and mops up the sweat on the floor. That's us.
Hey,
we're
Mom,
so far from being a star.
Did you see me, Mom? I was wiping up the sweat.
That's us.
Yeah, we saw you on TV, son. You look great.
That's it. That's us exactly. Yeah, that's us. So, but anyway, good that you're down there visiting and all that. More importantly, how's everybody doing after 2 storms coming through that area and everything?
Actually, I probably came at a bad time.
Uh-oh.
But this is, the time that I had free. Of course, the last time it was a storm coming upon them.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, really, he's just gotten everything cleaned up. And he's now kind of finally this week back to work and making things happen. And here he's got his old man like a puppy follow him around.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
He goes, how long's he going to be here? How long before he gets the hell out of
He
here?
couldn't he like send you out on like some running some errands or something? Hey, Dad, can you go to Home Depot and pick up a couple of things for us for the that kind of thing. He could keep you busy work. So whatever.
Yeah.
It's all
like
good.
I said, every time I come here, I just see my brother and my dad.
Really? Why?
Well, my dad, he basically lived in Southwest Florida in his later years in life. My brother had a business back in Indiana.
Yes.
So he would fly up to Indiana for a few weeks. And my brother would say to me, he goes, I love Dad. But after a few weeks, he comes over to the office and he just sits there and he talks and he talks and he talks to different people as they come in because, he knows them and he goes, and nobody gets any work done. And then I feel like I have to entertain him the whole time he's here. And I'm going, and I just hear my brother talking and I go, I know that's what my son is saying.
Exactly. So perfect. So perfect that now that you have taken over that job from your father. That's awesome. Man.
I've got a fantastic father. Well, it's not really a father-son story, but it's close enough.
Go ahead.
So, that I bought an EV.
Yes, electric car, yes.
I did a lot of research on, hybrids.
Oh, come on, you didn't do any research. You saw that it was the Disney edition and you bought it.
Well, no, that's the only way I got an electric car because the wife wanted the Disney edition.
Okay, go ahead. So you did your research. I get it. Yes.
But I did it on EVs. I did it on hybrids. I did it on plug-in hybrids. I did it all.
Right.
So when I bought my electric vehicle, I knew what I was getting into.
Right.
Plus I had a home charger, and the very, I could plug into a regular wall socket.
Sure.
My son didn't really do a whole lot of research, and he didn't really know a whole lot about charging.
Right.
He didn't know that Tesla and like different cars had different plugs. He thought it was all universal. You went to a charger and he rented a Tesla.
Cool.
He was going up to see Shaq.
Okay.
So he thought, I want to see what this EV world is all about.
Very cool.
Well, first of all, he didn't know that you really should be going to a charger before you get down to almost, it's not like when you're almost on empty. Okay, the next exit, going to have a gas station.
Right. Not so much with the electric chargers. Exactly.
You have to plan your trips out, and you got to go to the right charger. Or the right plug.
Right.
He didn't know none of that stuff.
He didn't know that. Really? I'm surprised because, your son he appears to me to be a very thoughtful go-getter business kind. He is all of that in business, but not so much when it comes to the electric car thing. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he just thought, this will be cool. I'll rent it. I'm supposed to get 300 miles, on a charge.
Not a chance do you get 300 miles on a charge. But anyway, yeah, I hear you.
So he never completely ran out, but he was all but like 1%. And he did get to the right charger after going to a couple different chargers before that. And then he went to a low level charger, not a supercharger.
Oh, all right.
So he plugs it in and he goes, oh my God, this is going to take me like 12 hours.
So, I know. That's why I'm not there yet when it comes to electric cars. I'm not ready for it yet. Well, they're not ready for me yet. And it's not like I do a ton of cross-country driving. I just don't want to have the hassle of thinking about planning out, okay, I need to stop here. It's going to be an hour to charge. I need to stop, Not yet. I'm not there yet. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
They're so cool. You were such a computer geek.
I know.
If you weren't a computer geek,
yep,
I would say, okay, yeah, that's good.
I know.
If you got behind the wheel, well, you had.
I have driven them, and they are super cool. They really are. And if you wanted a Tesla now, because right there in Fort Myers is the world headquarters of Hertz Rent-A-Car. I mean, it's even Hertz Arena now, isn't it? The old, where the Everblades play. It's Hertz Arena. They made a big investment in Tesla cars. They thought it was going to be the greatest things to rent Teslas to people, and it bombed. The whole idea bombed. And so now, as I understand it, because I have a little inside information from Hertz, as I understand it, you can get a huge bargain on a formerly rental car Tesla if you want one. So just saying, they're out there if you want to buy one for cheap.
I really thought about that, doing it that way.
Right.
But no, my wife saw the Disney and she goes, the only way you can have an electric car is if you get the Disney car.
The Disney car.
And I could have probably saved 20 grand.
Probably.
If I would have if I'd have got a used one, I could have probably saved 30 or 40 grand. But no,
you've got the brand new platinum edition. I mean, literally, it is the platinum edition, Disney inscription, whatever. If there was you ran out of bells and whistles to check the boxes. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. There's nothing else you could have put on this car. Nothing.
The only thing I will say that because now my wife has actually said, she goes, I don't know if we can get rid of this car or not, because I don't think I could live with a car that doesn't have all these features.
I get it. I do. The one I've driven belongs to my former relationship, my lady friend in Venice, Florida, right down the way. She loves it, but because when she bought it, now coming up on 2 years ago, 2 years ago, there weren't a lot of them out there. So when the dealership said, we got one, literally one of them, she said, I'll take it. And we drove to the dealership and bought it that afternoon. And it wasn't like, do you want the red one or the black one or the blue one? No, we have this one, and no sunroof, no fancy anything on it. And she was one of those people like your wife was talking about. She was one of those people that was very much used to having, it's got the sunroof, it's got the heated and air-conditioned seats, it's got the massage seat. Nope, this was kind of the basic one. I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong, it's super nice, but it's like, none of the fancy bells and whistles. So she's already thinking, when I get my next one, it will have all the toys. So I get it, I do, yeah. Just not for me yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's for my son yet, and I think because he had a bad experience.
Right.
I said, now if you would have done some research and knew more about it, I think you would have enjoyed it a whole lot more. But now he did do this because he had to go to Gulf Coast Town Center.
Right.
And he lives probably, maybe 8, no, I don't know, maybe even 4, but
he's close. Yep.
He's got some turns you have to take.
Yeah, but it's close.
And let me explain here. There's some curves. There's some stops.
Yes.
There's some traffic lights.
Of course.
I have never really ridden in a Tesla like this before.
Oh.
He types in where he wants to go.
Oh.
The car drives to where he wanted to go. Now, maybe mine does this, and I don't know how because I'm not that smart.
Right.
Come up on a red light. I go, do you have to hit? Oh, no, just watch. Stopped. Now, I have to at least tap the gas or whatever to go again.
Right. Even though there's no gas. Yeah. Accelerator.
I have to hit the accelerator when the light turns green.
Right.
I'm not touching nothing.
Right.
It just takes off.
All by itself.
We got to the place where he's supposed to turn and get into a turning lane. Again, no hands on the wheel.
Just does its thing. Yep.
Just turn. It stopped at the stoplight and turned.
We can tell you're impressed, Grandpa.
It stayed in the lane better than an old fart like me stays in the lane. I go, my car's cool, but this car's cooler.
Oh, yeah. It's a Tesla. Yes, your car. Now, the Teslas, they're cool, but they're I don't want to get into the weeds of different kinds of cars and manufacturing and all that. Yours is a real car made by a real car company. Not that Tesla's not a real car company, but Hyundai is, they have a few dollars behind them. They know what they're doing. Tesla did put a lot of money and time into the research of that. What do they call it? Autopilot? No, it's not.
Autopilot. Yeah. Now
autopilot.
it's
amazing. Amazing.
Mine, I don't think will do all the amazing things this will, but the Tesla though, you can keep your hands off the wheel for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then it tells you need to have your hand on the wheel.
Hands back on the wheel. Yeah. And there again, it's close. It's really, really close. But I'm not there yet. I'm not interested in that yet. It's not something I would pay for and use like crazy. But who knows? 10 years from now.
Now the son and I talked about this. And
yes.
I'm not saying, because he didn't. So I will say that. I will go on record. Well, he could have lied to me, but he didn't. And I don't think I would. Well, heck, I don't even drink anymore. So if you're totally hammered and you have a car that will drive you home, I know I'm doing the same thing you are. You're shaking your head no, and I'm saying
the police officer will say you are still in command of this car.
Yes, but listen to this. Now this is just I'm playing the devil because I wouldn't do it.
I know.
But when is a police officer going to pull you over for drunk driving?
If you are intoxicated and you are behind the wheel of that car.
No. Because I'm saying it's
I see what you're saying. Wait a minute. I see what you're saying. So if the car is driving me home and it's doing so perfectly,
you're not going to get pulled over.
You're not going to get pulled over. Ooh, you've opened a can of worms about the side. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Because the car, the Tesla, is not weaving back and forth on the road, and the cop's going, that guy looks drunk. No, the cop is going, that car's driving perfectly. They must be fine, even though you are totally hammered sitting in the driver's seat of that car. Wow. You've just hit on something, BJ Odom. Wow.
I didn't start thinking about that until after I saw what the car would do. I'm going, oh my God, this thing could drive you home drunk.
Drive you home and you're drunk. The car's not drunk. Yeah.
But I don't think my son would do that either.
No, you shouldn't. No, we're not, folks. By the way, we are not recommending.
We are not recommending.
We are not recommending.
BJ and Bill will never recommend you to get behind the wheel after drinking. Never, ever, ever, ever. But I'm just saying I just already said it, but
you already did.
Yeah.
And it's kind of amazing to even think about that. Now
because don't tell me I'd be the only person to ever think about that. If you ever was behind the wheel or was ever in one of these and goes, oh my God, you could be hammered it and it could get you home with no problem.
But if you, the drunk individual, should do something stupid behind the wheel, causing you to get pulled over.
Oh yeah,
it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, game over, man. So brilliant. Don't do it. Yeah. Okay. I get it. I mean, I do. I mean, there is literally a whole new legal can of worms there with what you can do. So there is. I mean, sure. I hear you. I hear you. All right. All right. Cool. Well,
But it was, I mean, I get behind the wheel of my Ioniq 5.
Right.
And go, oh, this is like so cool.
It is. It really is.
But then I sat there and watched him take his hands completely off the wheel, stop at a stop sign, and make a left-hand turn.
All the way to the mall without touching it. I know.
I mean, he put it on every once in a while just to, let the car know that he was there. But besides that, it drove from his house all the way to the mall without him really driving.
Without him really needing to drive. That's, to me, that's magic. I get it. That's amazing. Wonderful. Again, personally, me, not ready for it yet, but I mean, I will. We all will eventually. There's no way progress marches on, as they say. So there you go.
I feel more and more like what's his Mr. Jetson? What's his
name? George Jetson. Yeah,
George Jetson.
I want the one that folds up into the briefcase and then I carry it with me. Yeah, I want that car. That's the rocket car that flies and folds up into the briefcase at the end of the day, and I just carry it inside. Forget about parking spaces. How amazing would that be if there were like no need for parking places? All the parking spaces. I mean, that the real estate that is used by parking spaces that may or may not be needed. Who knows? Here's the trick here. And I've actually heard Elon talk about this. So I'm sure it's coming. And that is, I can buy the most expensive, beautiful, gorgeous Tesla there is. And you're thinking, I'll never be able to afford $150,000 for a car. Oh no, the car earns its own money. Because when I get to the office, or if I'm at home here in my apartment and I'm not doing anything today, the car goes out by itself. People rent it from me by the hour. It takes them around where they need to go. And at the end of the day, it comes back to my apartment, having earned a few $100s for me while I do nothing.
Yep.
That's where it's coming. I mean, that's what's, that's the first step. I don't know. It's just, there's so much crazy stuff out there. So much cool stuff.
Well, we're talking about your experience.
Your Tesla. Yeah.
Your experience with a Tesla. Oh, have you been listening? Oh, okay. He's in here looking for something. What are you looking for?
He's looking for your keys? The BJ's son is in the studio there with him while they're looking.
He just said, I'm a pain in his ass. Oh, the keys. What key are you looking for? You looking for the key of the Tesla?
Key to the Tesla?
Oh, the Tesla's a pain in his ass. He did not like the Tesla.
He didn't? All right.
No.
I mean,
I think if he never had to charge it, he would have been.
Well, duh. That's the whole thing. I would be the first guy in line if, I don't know, pick a number. If it could go 1,000 miles without a recharge, I'm buying it tomorrow. But other than that, it's a little too much attention needed to charging, and where am I going to plug it in, and how long am I going to have to wait, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, that's fine. We got the Tesla thing covered.
Now he said, though, if he ever did have an electric car, which like I do, and your
my friend, lots
your
of
friend, they have home chargers. He goes, then it would be a different, whole different ball game.
Yes, absolutely, positively a different ball game.
There's
even. Go ahead.
He's saying what I am saying. Like he's saying, if he ever took a long trip, he would, if he did have an electric car, but he was going to take a long trip, he would rent a gas car.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Rent the gas car to take the cross-country trip, but use the electric car in town for
everything around the area. Yeah.
I got no complaint with that. I really don't. I really think that's probably the way to do it, because even with the car, I mean, I don't need a big car when I'm just going to Walmart and back. Yours truly here going to the mall or whatever, even if I'm delivering food for DoorDash or whatever. an electric car to do deliveries and Uber and Lyft is perfect because it costs you nothing in gasoline, and you can charge it up overnight. You do, if you get 200 miles to the day, you don't put on 200 miles. I mean, on a busy day for me, delivering food for DoorDash, I might do 100 miles. So that I could do that for a couple of days with an electric car, a small, useful electric car. And then if I need to drive cross country, I'm going to visit family in Ohio or whatever, I'm renting a car.
Yeah.
To me, that's the best of both worlds. And that would be probably the way that, that would absolutely positively be the way I would do it. Well, because if you're driving across country, you're going to probably be taking a lot of luggage and a lot of people, and you're going to need a bigger car and all of that fun stuff too.
And with me coming all the way to my son's house from Claremont down to basically Estero.
Right.
Took me like 60% of my battery.
Right.
So I still got
now you got to find a place to charge up now, right?
I already know where it is though. There's an Electrify America right down the road at Target.
Gotcha.
So
that's funny. That's where my Electrify America, not that I would use it, but again, when my friend has been in town and she's needed to recharge, there's an Electrify America at our Target as well. I wonder if they're related.
Well, probably. Because if I ever take a trip, because I want to do this yet. I don't want to go like all the way to Indiana.
Right.
I will fly anymore. I will fly if I go to Indiana. I'm not even going to drive a gas or an electric car.
Right.
But my wife has friends in northern Georgia.
Right.
I am interested in taking that trip. And probably I have it pretty well figured out where I'm going to stop. I could stop at all Electrify Americas and make it all the way to almost there. And then when I get to there, I might have to charge somewhere different. But then, I would stop at the same ones on the way home.
Right. That's the problem is Northern Georgia, that's where our friend Vicki Wagner is at. Same thing. There's no electric charging stuff in rural Northern Georgia. Good luck with that.
I noticed that after you go past, the Atlanta suburbs.
Yeah.
It's like I'm thinking too. That's why I wouldn't take it to Indiana.
Exactly.
There's not a whole lot of charging places in Indiana. And also
Indiana.
I mean, okay,
do they have electricity in Indiana?
I don't think so. I'm sorry. I was raised there.
I get it.
People, there are roads that leave out of that state. I just want to go on record. Oh, wait, I forgot to do something. As we change gears, because it is Monday.
Yes.
But first, I wanted to put this on just so you could see it.
Oh, man, that's some kind of mean. That's some kind of mean. BJ Odom, ladies and gentlemen, BJ Odom just put on an old school, by the way. That's old school. Cleveland Indians baseball hat. You're mean. You're some kind of mean. I had to watch my Indians get beat by the Yankees, and it was not fun. I mean, there were a couple of good games, but there were a couple of so disappointing. Don't even get me started about sports. That's going to take the second half hour of the show.
And with me coming here.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got off mic there.
That's all right.
Because I was putting the hat away. With me coming here, I didn't really listen to a whole lot of sports or see a whole lot of sports because I was kind of on my way, obviously getting ready in the morning. And then in the afternoon,
right.
I didn't really pay attention to really any sports.
Holy cow. We have so much to talk about.
I'm just hoping tonight, Monday night football, my son will be watching, a little football action.
Well, you'll be watching, and if anybody chooses to join you, that's up to them.
I almost brought my jersey, but I didn't.
I was going to hope that you will be wearing it on the show. Of course, nobody can see it, but BJ Odom texted me earlier this week that his Baker Mayfield jersey has arrived. And you didn't even bring it? You didn't even, come on. What are you doing?
I was going to, but I figured they keep their house so cold. I wear a jacket anytime I'm in their house.
Oh, okay.
So believe me, it was a short sleeve.
Right.
I'm going to need
you would have froze.
I'm going to need a sweatshirt for watching the game tonight. I'm out.
I also know. Go ahead.
I'm out in the studio now. It's a little warmer out here than
okay. Well,
in the house.
$1 million worth of electronics in the room with you. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I was noticing behind you on the top of something up there that looks like a Florida Gators football helmet up there.
I don't know if that's my Tebow or who. Almost all those are autographed, so I don't know who that's autographed by.
Really?
I could go. You want to keep talking to the folks for a second?
Okay. Well, I'll just ever so briefly say that, yeah, Florida had a reasonable weekend. They beat Kentucky here in Gainesville this weekend. So it was, Florida's having such a mediocre year. It doesn't even really matter, but they're doing okay. BJ Odom inspecting the Florida Gator football helmet, bringing it over to the microphone. Let's see what he's got for us here.
Can you read that?
I see it. I see a name, but I can't read it.
Yeah.
Tilt that down a little bit so I can see it. It just says 07 Heisman. Is 07 high, and then it's kind of a signature. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't either. We'll have to ask your son, because it doesn't look like a Tim Tebow signature, but it did say Heisman on it. So, well, who won the Heisman? And I could Alexa, who won the Heisman Award in college football in 2007? She's telling me now.
2007 Heisman Trophy was Florida Gators quarterback Tim Tebow.
It was.
Okay.
It was.
Tim Tebow. It's a
She
Tim
knew.
Tebow. It's a Tim Tebow.
Yeah, Tim Tebow was the 2007 Heisman winner. So, okay. So I don't know if it didn't look like his signature, but if it is, very nice.
Oh, he's got on authenticators for all of them.
Good collection.
That's one of the things he collects. He's got the 4 big guys. Can you name them?
In what sport?
Football.
In football. Well, Tebow is not one of them, I'm assuming. Autographs from football stars.
NFL.
Joe Namath?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, cool.
Peyton Manning,
awesome. Oh, he's looking over his shoulder there.
Oh, wait, that's Brady. That was a Brady with a first team he was on.
Okay, with the Patriots. Yep.
I can't see the other two.
That's all right. Never mind. Okay, but he's got 4 big signatures there. That's cool.
Oh yeah, they're all big.
The real thing, the real deal. All right, we're getting a little off track. Let's take a quick break. I got to refill this coffee because I'm much in need of it. And there's a lot. I mean, I don't want to turn this into a sports podcast, but you didn't watch last night. There's a big story there, kind of a fun story.
I'm sorry.
I know
they were watching. The girls were watching something else, and I was not interested. They weren't even watching the Hallmark Channel. They were watching.
Oh man!
They were watching some scary murder movie, and I'm like, two brothers or something, and they killed their parents, and it was brutal. And
okay,
I think
you know. Yeah. Huh? Okay. Never mind. All right, go refill your coffee. We will be right back. Welcome back. I'm Bill Stevens. Via long-distance communication through the magic of the internet, BJ Odom is coming to us live from his son's radio broadcasting studios in Southwest Florida. It's awesome, but this is BJ and Bill, the podcast, and you can get a hold of us on our Facebook page. Just do a search for BJ and Bill Podcast, and most importantly, leave that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Apple or Spotify. I know we're on YouTube Music as well now because I'm a subscriber to YouTube Music, and we're iHeartRadio. We are everywhere. We are like mold in Florida. We're everywhere. So.
I didn't know that. We also, which is weird, I know we had the Apple Podcast.
Right.
Yeah, if you have the app or whatever for Apple for podcast, but I didn't know we were on Apple Music too.
I don't know that we are, unless they also do podcasts on Apple Music, which is possible. I mean, I'll have to look, because for like YouTube, like we're on YouTube Music, which has a whole dedicated podcast thing, even though we don't put our show on YouTube. We don't do a video version of the show. So the good people at the Podcast Playground are putting us out to the world everywhere, which is awesome.
No kidding.
Hats off to them.
Because I was like, because I do that once in a while. I like Google BJ and Bill the podcast.
Right.
And it took me to Apple Music.
I wonder if that's just because you are subscribed to the podcast.
Yeah, it might be.
I don't know. But again, I'm the Apple guy, and I don't know the answer to that. So I know more tech. It's just crazy. It really is crazy out there how much there is to know about all this. So here's the thing. Last night, if you were a sports fan, last night was dying and going to heaven. Although it was challenging because I didn't have enough screens. Last night at the same time, you would think, Sunday Night Football, New York, Jets, what's his name? The quarterback. Good God, his name just escaped my brain. Is on with the Jets, and Devontae Adams now has gone to the Jets, and are they going to make a thing and all that? That should be a good game. They were number 3 on my list of things to watch. They were 3rd. I actually gave the big screen to the ladies basketball final.
Oh,
hats off or whatever. Hats off to the New York Liberty. After 28 years, the New York Liberty has the franchise's first WNBA title. They beat the Minnesota Lynx 67-62 in overtime in Game 5 in New York last night. And I got to tell you, it was at the Barclays Center, which I think is Brooklyn. So if you're a New York person, don't get on my case. I don't know my New York burbs. At the Barclays Center, full house, celebrities in the audience, just like a Knicks game. I mean, Spike Lee was there, a couple of other big names they were showing. Everybody it was as good a scene as any other sports scene. So congratulations to the New York Liberty. I didn't know this, they were the first franchise of the WNBA. And after 28 years, they finally won the championship. Good for them. At the same time, in Los Angeles, the LA Dodgers beat the New York Mets to clinch the National League pennant and will play the World Series in what people consider to be a dream matchup of the LA Dodgers versus the New York Yankees, who, curses, beat my Cleveland Guardians. But that's another story, so it should be a great World Series. And then, third screen, the New York Jets on Sunday Night Football. Oh, well.
Aaron Rodgers is who you're trying to think of.
Aaron Rodgers. That's right. I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers. I had a brain fart there. I was remembering all the other scores and sports and games and stuff. Aaron Rodgers. And again, the Jets lost and they looked awful. And I don't know what you do with that team. I don't know.
I read a headline says Aaron Rodgers has no one left to blame.
That's true. Basically, I think you're right about that. Yeah.
They fired the coach and everything. I'm thinking, he's got no one else to blame now.
They fired the coach. They brought in his old buddy who was supposed to be like, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. It's going to be awesome together. Well, Devontae Adams had 3 catches for 30 yards last night. Woo-hoo. All right. He's only been in town for a couple of days. I get it. Baker Mayfield, when he went to the LA Rams, had 24 hours notice and won the game.
That's why I got a Baker Mayfield jersey.
I know. And you even have the red one, and they're wearing the red uniforms tonight against the Baltimore Ravens. So unfortunately for us, fortunately for our listeners, when people come back and listen to this show, the game will have already been decided, and you, dear listeners, know better than we do who won the game. So hopefully our Buccaneers will win that game, though. Should be a really good one against Baltimore.
Hey,
so
if they actually win, they will actually be in first place, in their little division.
By themselves, yes.
Because Atlanta lost yesterday.
So, yes. So it's a big game in more ways than one. The Baltimore Ravens are a great team. So, yeah, it's going to be good. Now, last night, I will say that after the WNBA, because that was on early and the game's kind of short, after the Liberty, and I will say, hats off to YouTube TV for trying. They had all 3 games on a multi-screen channel. So you could have the Liberty, the Monday Night Football game, and the baseball game all on at the same time. But the screen, it made the screen too small to watch on. I mean, I got a big TV, but it was still a little small. So I had the WNBA on the big screen. I had the baseball game on the iPad, and I would flip back and forth to watch the football game during the commercials on the ladies' basketball. But the football game ended up going the latest, so I watched like the last 10 minutes of that full time. And like you said, anyway.
I
so
do
much in sports.
I do want to say that I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of everyone who went to the game, the women's basketball last night,
right?
And filled the stands to a sellout crowd, because I enjoy women's basketball, but I went to the party,
right,
because of Caitlin
Clark. Yep.
And when they were gone, I was one of those people that left the game. I mean, as far as watching it on television, okay.
Right. And I'm not saying I stayed glued to the playoffs as they progressed, but if the game, if I was sitting at the couch and I saw the game was on, I probably was going to watch it. And I did watch like the last 2 or 3, because it's only a best of 5, although I heard they're going to change that. In the finals is just a best of 5, and I know I watched the last 2 or 3 of those. So
yeah, I didn't like that the beginning of the tournament was like, what was it?
Best of 3.
Yeah.
I saw a good article. I saw a very good article on one of the like Sports Illustrated or ESPN's website, and it said, "Okay, ladies, you got our attention. Now it's time to step it up." And they didn't mean the game, because the game is great. But, you have some teams playing in these arenas that seat 5,000 people. And it's like, what are you doing? The Indiana Fever is selling out the same Gainbridge Fieldhouse that the Indiana Pacers play in. And like last night, Barclays Center in Brooklyn, full to the rafters of screaming fans. All right. You gotta find big arenas for all your teams, because they're going to play. You got to expand the league, because now you got people's attention. We might as well put some teams in some places that don't have them. And you got to expand the playoff format so that, you longer series, best of 7 series like the NBA, and you must fix the officiating, because apparently these are like, I don't know, kindergarten teachers that, they give them a uniform for a ref uniform, and they're like, here's the rule book. You want to learn it? It's okay. There have been some very questionable calls as far as officiating goes in the WNBA. So there you go.
Maybe they got different rules, Bill.
Well, I know I think they do. That's a good question, and I don't really know that. We should look that up if we choose to. I don't know. Whatever.
And I also know, even in the NBA,
yes,
when I was growing up in Indiana, where basketball ruled,
yes,
if you took 3 or 4 or 5 steps, to the hoop to shoot it in,
yes,
that little thing called traveling.
Yes,
nobody calls that anymore.
They have that new crossover step thing that people do, and it's like, how is that not traveling? I don't know. But you're right. I don't know. I don't know the basketball rules well enough. I know that I watch it and I enjoy it. So there you go.
Now, see, you'll be able to see this, but no one else will. And I see this all the time in the NBA and the WNBA.
What's that?
It used to be called palming the ball. When you bounce the ball like this.
Oh, yeah. With your hand. Yeah. Like a hand up to hand down. Hand up to hand down. Right.
That used to be called palming.
Right.
I never see that called anymore.
Boy, you got me on that one. I hadn't even, you're right. I remember that. Boy, I remember that all the way back to like high school basketball.
Yeah, high school. That was a big rule. That was one of the things, because I did play. I don't want to brag or nothing, but I played Indiana basketball when I was in 8th grade.
I was on an intramural team in college. We had a lot of fun.
Let me tell you, Bill Stevens, I kept that bench warmer than anybody you'd ever seen in your life.
And when I played intramural basketball for my college team, it's like, Bill, you got 5 fouls. Use them. Don't worry about hacking somebody. So anyway, that's our sports careers there.
Yeah, I just remembered, I had my, my heart surgery when I was 14.
Right.
And then, hey, they fixed my heart. I'm going to play basketball.
Wow.
Well, it's like learning a sport, halfway through your life in Indiana.
Right.
So yeah, I was basically the bench warmer. But like I said, I was the sickly little kid.
I understand.
So I do remember this. I was in one game.
I remember. Okay.
And well, I was in more than one, but I'd always be in, even.
You mean you actually played?
I was like 3 games, maybe where we were either up by 20 or down by, I don't know. It was one of the
garbage
2.
time.
Yeah. And I got a shot off and it almost went in. Almost went in. But, my mom and dad, they'd lived in that town all their lives and they actually knew the coach.
Sure.
And I heard this, as I was older,
sure.
Not a little kid, because I guess I'd be sad if I heard it when I was a little kid. But the coach came up to my parents and said, if he would have made that would have made my season. He said we would have picked him up and carried him off the floor.
Just like those YouTube videos.
Yeah, just like, the Downs kid. Yeah, they said, that would have been it, man. That would have been it. If I could have just made that one basket, I would have made my coach's season. Lonnie Steele would have been so proud of me.
The career, the path of your life would have been altered forever.
I know, because I would have probably then went on and played my junior year.
That's right. Doggone it. Made one shot. That's awesome. Everybody always said, didn't you play football in college? Because I'm a bigger person. Everybody always said, didn't you play football in college or high school or whatever? I'm like, hell no, I didn't play football. That looked like hard work. I was the sports editor of the high school newspaper. So I was on the sidelines for all my high school football games. So I was there and I saw how much work it was and how, it's like, this is not for me. No.
Hold on a second. Gentry, are you in here?
Uh-oh.
Good, he's not.
He's not. Oh, we got a story?
Yes, I got a story.
Do tell.
So he played Pop Warner football.
Right.
And I think I had taken him to like 3 or, I don't know how many practices you have.
Right.
Before they have like the first scrimmage, where you play, where, kind of like a jamboree where you play other teams and things like that.
Right.
So we're going into the little stadium.
Yes.
And a kid comes out and he's got a bloody nose and he's because he was in the game before, my son.
Right.
And he looked at me and goes, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. and I wasn't the dad that says, well, damn it, we're going to do it anyway. You went to practice. I said, okay. And we turned around.
So your son talked you out of a football game. Did he ever play again, or was that the end of his football career?
That was the end of his football.
That was the end of it.
I can't say that I'd blame him because he was like Pop Warner. I think he was like 7, 6, 5. I don't know. He was right. He was a little whippersnapper, but he had his little football and he was carrying his helmet. And we're gonna. And I me not being a sports person my entire life, I wasn't crazy about football because I figured my poor little baby's gonna get hurt anyway,
Right.
So he said, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't even hesitate. Okay, let's go.
Turned right around, walked away. Yep. That's funny. Well, things have turned out pretty good for your son anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah, we're in a multi-million-dollar studio here probably.
Right. Yeah, and he's got all those sports signatures around him. Yeah. Isn't that interesting that he collects memorabilia, sports memorabilia?
He loves sports. He even worked for ESPN for a short time. But
right. I always when I was in college, before I discovered radio, which was my second year of college, I think. I was a journalism major, still was. I mean, I graduated as a journalism major, but I thought, when they were like, what kind of job were you thinking of? And I was thinking something like a sports information director for a college or university or something like that, because that's a cool job, sports information director. I mean, I thought it was. And then I discovered radio and I thought, wait a minute, I can just talk and they pay me to just talk. I'm in on that. So that's how my life changed on that.
Yeah. I don't want to disappoint you or nothing, Bill Stevens, but the reason I got into radio, so my parents wanted me to do something, that wasn't real strenuous, something they thought I could do. If I was going to live long enough to go into the workforce, I should be doing something, instead of just, sitting on my hiney. So, radio sounded like a pretty good idea. And I did this school review show, and as they say, the rest is history, because I started working at that radio station where I started doing a school review show when I was a junior in high school.
Wow.
And by the time I was a senior, I was doing, the weekend shifts. And by the time I graduated high school, where I was going to go to college for drama and acting,
the
general manager says, well, in this business, experience is much more than any education will be, son.
Yep.
And I go, okay. I'll just stay here and not go to college, and I'll start me a career in radio.
And worked out pretty good for you too. Absolutely.
You can't complain, because I've done it probably 50 years of my life. And, I paid bills. I wasn't rich like my son, but I paid bills.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we would have really pursued, if I made some decisions in my career, radio career, where I probably could have made more money doing the other thing. Instead of, I made some decisions that it's like, oh, this looks like more fun, more better people, whatever. I made a few of those decisions that I am sure, I'm not going to say cost me money, because I didn't take any money out of my pocket, but I didn't make as much money as I probably could have made if I'd have really been following that career path and, gosh, I'm going for the big market job or whatever, and all of that. So, and I mean, of course, no judgment, no blame, no whatever, being married at the time as well. It's like, working in a big market city and whatever. And when that job ended, we decided to move back to Fort Myers. We had lived there because she had a job opportunity in Fort Myers and I did not. And I mean, I probably could have looked around for more big market jobs or whatever, but hey, I came back to Fort Myers, and that led to the BJ and Bill show. So, it's all that career path and the life path thing that everybody always talks about. Where would you be? But I got no complaints.
I don't know. I would have probably, if I would have done what my mother wanted me to do, because, my father was a farmer and I was much too weak to be a farmer.
Yeah, you weren't going to be a farmer. Yeah.
So she wanted me to be a beautician, and that might not have been a bad gig either.
What do you mean, a beautician? What does that mean?
Like hairdos, yeah, hair.
But that's not I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this. I apologize in advance, but I see young people doing that. I don't see middle-aged and older people doing that. I mean, I guess what I'm asking, and don't send me any hate email. Do not hate me for this, but I'm just going to ask the question.
BJ
is that a career?
gmail.com.
Yeah. BJ and Bill. BJ and Bill podcast at gmail.com. Is that a career, or is it, does it lead to something else?
Now, I will say that, like, there are some people in the hair design,
Sure.
that make, just like almost like radio. You can make huge money.
Yes.
Or you can work at,
or you work at Super Clips and
you still, I don't know. I'm not saying they don't make good money, because they get tips and everything else. So they probably make pretty good money.
I've talked to some of the people at those places when I go to get my hair done.
Oh, they do make good money then.
If they're busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So see, I go to like a Super Clips.
I always do.
And there are times that I will find, women and men there, and you find more women, well, maybe because there's more women in the actual industry that, are there like older ladies. I don't want to say, but I've seen them there. But usually most of the men that work in those places are usually like 40 and below. And
Right.
sometimes I'll see women that are above 40, maybe in their 50s. Yeah.
Not
often.
Right. I will say now, having said that, I'm sure that you and I are not good examples of that, because the people that are older probably work in privately owned salons, and because I've known a couple of ladies who have done it career-wise,
and they own they have their customer base.
Right. They have their own. They either have their own place, or they work at a high-end salon, and they have their own customers that have come to them for years, that know what they love and know how they want things done and are willing to pay for it. And yeah, those people, and again, I don't know, men, women, I don't know. Those people make pretty darn good money because, again, they have a customer base that they've built up over the years and have nurtured and taken care of and all of that. So yeah, I get it. So
yeah, my mom had her own salon.
Yes. Owned a salon?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And my poor brother would be out there. Well, actually it was like, kind of like, it was connected to the house.
Oh.
So it was like, a home with a home business, but it was off to the side. So it wasn't a home business.
Right.
But my brother would be out working in the fields, hard in the fields.
Hard work.
With my father.
Hard work.
I would be the guy, I don't know, you probably never had a perm, but you put these little curlers in your hair and they got like paper in them.
You're right. I've never had that experience.
So they take them out, and a lot of times the papers are maybe still, in it. And so my job was, because the different size, you want a big curl, a little curl,
right,
are different size rods. And so my job was to take the paper off of the curler rods, and then like put the pink in the pink and the blue in the blue and the red in the red and the gray. So my job was to separate and to clean the things that went in your hair.
This is a BJ Odom story I have never heard before, and I have known this man for 25 years.
Well, that's not one of those stories you go, hey, when I was a kid,
right?
I helped my mother out in her beauty parlor.
Right.
My job was to take the tissues off the curlers,
right,
and sort them in the right size, because they were all different colors. I sorted the colors and I took all. That was my job growing up as a kid. So now, are you going to tell somebody that? Is that like? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, you've just told thousands and thousands and thousands of people right now. So congratulations.
Yeah, because this is a show, and that I added humor to it. But damn it, you're not going to go out as, even a 20-year-old and say, what'd you do growing up? Well, no, you're not going to say that.
That's not a bar story for picking up girls. No, it's not.
This is a story about my life that we share on the podcast, and I expect you people to keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourselves, folks. Okay, there you go. I think that's a good cap to that story. Please, folks, don't share this with anybody. But if you do, the podcast playground, BJ and Bill podcast. Remember the 5-star review.
Tell them where you heard it.
Yeah.
Don't forget that review.
Well, it does make perfect sense that your mother would suggest a job for you, a career for you. It's something that she knew. So that doesn't surprise me. That's, I get it. That makes good sense.
All I knew is how to take the papers off and put them in the right bins. I didn't know nothing else.
But you could grow from that. You could learn. You could learn. So, look, you're in this $1 million studio from the podcast playground, owned and operated by your son and other. Whatever. He saw dad doing radio and he thought, oh, that looks cool. And he did it. And he grew it from from nothing to the big business that it is today. So congrats to him. So, but I'm just saying, That's the way things work in life. It kind of, you see what the people around you are doing and you work off of that.
Now, well, yeah, we're about done if that's what you want, dear. The wife is now wanting to know. Yeah, we didn't start till 11, dear.
Right.
I'll be done any minute and I'll be able to do something with you.
Oh,
I love
boy,
you.
we better wrap up this show.
I
BJ
love
Odom
you.
he's getting the eye. He's getting the eye from the wife. I can tell. I can't even see her in the picture, but I can see by his reaction that he's getting the yes, dear reaction. Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. I even had a story and we didn't even touch on it this week. So I'm going to save it for next week. And it's something that's near and dear to your heart. It's about Disney. And
one quick thing before we go.
Yes.
After you've listened to this podcast, if you enjoy this podcast, you can enjoy the Gift of Life podcast. You can go to it right now because it actually dropped on Tuesday, where we drop ours on Wednesday. And Bill Stevens talks to me about my transplant.
So if you haven't heard enough of two old men kvetching about stuff, you can go over to that podcast and hear it for another hour.
Yeah, listen to another hour.
But you're right. We did record that last week, and that's much more of a, shall we say, an interview style.
Yeah.
Because apparently BJ has had some requests from people, from his listeners, about his, like every superhero has an origin story. And we kind of do yours on the podcast. And I was happy and honored to be a part of it. So thank you.
We didn't mention hair curlers or nothing.
No, there was no hair story in that at all, as far as I remember. None of it at all. So yes. So go listen to The Gift of Life. And while you're at it, also from the podcast playground, go listen to the Practical Path podcast as well, with yours truly and with Bill and Vicki Wagner. So you can find that at the podcast playground as well. So there you go, wherever you get your podcasts.
Something very interesting you'll find out if you listen to that podcast.
Which is?
I think Bill, I don't know, he must be on the witness protection program because he uses another name, and I don't
Unbelievable.
understand. I don't understand it.
Again, people, keep this to yourself. All right, BJ Odom, you have fun. When are you coming back? When are you heading back to Claremont?
I think Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is a short trip because, I only want to be in his hair so long, and then he'll hate me.
Right.
I want him to still love me. I want a Christmas gift.
So you can only be underfoot for so long. And then as Mark Twain said, after 3 days,
you're out of here.
And guests begin to smell. So, right. Have yourself a great week, Mr. Odom. And we will see you again next week, of course. Until then, it's just up to BJ Odom to say,
see ya.